Today we are going to be creating poetry. The lesson is called Magnetic Poetry, and it might be something that you are familiar with, but it is something that looks like this. It's typically done on a refrigerator, and then there are magnetic words that are put in a specific order to create meaning. So this is one example that I pulled for you guys. Another example is this one, between the soft sweep of light and vibration, let there be peace. So these are words that we read from left to right, and then we go down to the next line again and lead left to right, just like we were reading a book. And the words together create poetry. And then I pulled one more example here, which is another example of words that are put. This line would be separate, and then the lines here together would be considered a stanza in poetry. So that's another option. You could do one stanza in your poem, one group of lines, or if you wanted to, you could have one line that stands by itself as a stanza, and then another stanza that is a different makeup here. You do not have to make your poem rhyme, but if you want to, that is certainly a possibility. So now that you have seen a couple examples of what magnetic poetry looks like, I'm going to show you how we're going to create that on the computer since we don't have access to a refrigerator or magnets. All right, through the magic of television, you now see a screen that is from the Google Drive and Google Classroom. So when you go to Google Classroom, you will have a document that is there for you to use, and it's going to be called Magnetic Poetry. The nice thing about Google Slides is that your title up here will already be done for you with your name on it, and then as you recall that the changes automatically save for you. So the first thing that you're going to see is you're going to see the first slide that is a background that has a dialog box here for you to put your name. So I'm going to go ahead and put my name, and then once I click out of that, it goes ahead and it saves it for me. The next thing you're going to see on slide 2 is a word bank. And in your word bank, these are all the words that you have the option of using within your poetry. You do not have to use all of the words, and there are going to be some on here that you might want to use more than once, and that's okay. I'm going to show you how to do that. So you essentially have two slides here. The first one is going to be where you have your magnetic poetry, and the second one is going to be your word bank. So let me go ahead and show you there are a couple of options to get the words from the word bank to the background. And the way to do that is once you click on one of the words that you want to use, you're going to see it's going to have a blue box around it. You have two options of copying and pasting that. The first one would be if you wanted to right click on that, you would hit copy up here. You come back to your slide. You have to click on the slide so you have the blue box around it. And then once you do that, you could do the right click and you could hit paste, and the word that you selected, Kevin, goes ahead and appears there. And once you click off of that, you'll see that you're only going to have the white around it, and it's kind of floating on your background. All right, another way that you can copy and paste words is that you could go ahead and you can click on the word. You're always going to want that blue box around it. And then on your keyboard, you can hit the control key, which is on the left-hand side. It's CTRL. And while you're doing that, you're also going to hit letter C, which is for copy. So control and then C. You come over here to your slide, click on the slide again so you get the blue around it. And when you hit control and then V, which is for paste, you're going to see talk appears right there, and then you can move that around. So I went ahead, and you can also move these around once you get more of the words that you want to use. You can go ahead and you can do that. And then say I want to use another word. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get my blue box around. I'm going to hit Control V because that's just easier for me. I'm going to come here to my background, hit Control V, and then I can move that around. say that's the only thing I want to do there, and then I want to go to my next line. And maybe I wanted to use talked again. All right. What you would do is, there's only going to be one word on here, but that doesn't mean you can't use this word more than once. So in that situation, say I wanted later on in my poem to use talked, if I did Control C again, and then I click here and I Control V, I could have more than one talked, even though there's only one talked in my word bank. All right, so that's one way to do it. Another little trick that you are more than likely going to want to know, and this will be your best friend, is the undo button. All right, so say I just duplicated talk, but I did not want two of them. If I come up here to undo and I click that and then I click it again, I can get back to where I only have one talked, and this is the part that I do want to keep, so I can keep that right there. And then, as I told you, Google Drive will save this for you automatically. So you're just going to continue to go ahead and copy words over that you want. Another cool trick, say you do kids and you don't want to use that one, always kind of use that undo button if you wanted to. But what you can also do is you can click on it and get the blue dots all around it, and you can hit delete, and that would be the end of that word. Those are a couple of tricks that you will want to. You're just going to continue to copy words over from here to here so it looks like you are creating magnetic poetry on a refrigerator. And you want your poem to go all the way down, depending on how many lines and stanza and what your format will be. All right, so back to our examples that we have. This is the look that we are going for. I want you to be creative. Yours doesn't have to look like this, but I definitely want yours to read from left to right, and I want you to have lines and perhaps stanzas if you wanted to. A couple of things regarding your poem. The first most important thing is that your poem must make sense. It is not random words that create no meaning. Even a poem that has 5 or 6 words, together those words create a meaning, and your poem is going to do the exact same. In addition to that, regardless of what story you are creating your poem based on, you want your poem to be true to the story and the events or the plot that occurred in that story. You're not going to make up your own ending. You're not going to make up things that did not happen based on the words. You want it to be accurate and true. And your poem, you have a couple of different options when creating that. You can make that a summary of the story, the beginning and the middle and the end of that story. You can discuss the theme, which is the message or the lesson that the author wants you to recall most. It can be from one character's point of view. We've done that a couple of times this school year. Perhaps you take one character that was in the story and you focus on that one character and create a poem based on the thoughts and the feelings of that one character. Another thing could be if you could focus on one scene or one conversation within the story and you would focus on that for your poem. A couple of things to remember is first, you do not have to use all of the words. You are more than welcome to use one of the words more than once, but your goal is to use the words that are provided for you. That's the challenge, but you do not have to use all the words. Also, your poem must be a minimum of 20 words. I'm looking for something of substance, so make sure that you count your words once you're getting closer to the end to make sure that you have 20 words within your poem. You can only use the words in the word bank. If you say, oh, I would really love if there was this word in there, unfortunately, as there is not, that is your challenge. So you can only use the words that are provided to you, and feel free to use some of those words more than once if you needed to. You do not use punctuation. You will notice that there is no punctuation in your word bank. You don't need to create punctuation. That's just not what you need to do. So don't worry about that. Remember that people read from left to right. So make sure you position your words on your background from left to right so that people will be able to read it properly and understand it. And then finally, just have fun and be creative. Use the words that you have in a creative way, and I think that you will enjoy it. Have fun.